my name's Nikki, and this is my sister Logan. We first want to begin by saying that it's truly an honor to be given the opportunity to speak here today, especially in the Beaver Falls community, which is our home, where it all began. Some things we say today will be very personal and may be difficult to hear because it's definitely hard for us to speak about. We don't have very much experience talking to crowds, especially about such a fragile subject, so we ask that you please bear with us. When we were first asked to start speaking, we were overcome with fear. The fear of public speaking, obviously, but mostly the fear of opening old wounds that have yet to heal. Because suicide does that. It creates a wound so deep in the people left behind that it truly never heals. Our wounds were created the morning of January 6, 2012, when our sister, Taylor Donadeo, made the decision to end her life.
Again, we want to thank you for having us here today. Nikki and I will be sharing with you our own stories of Taylor's death and how it affected us and our families. I will talk about my best friend, other half, and most importantly, my twin sister. Taylor and I were only 16 years old and juniors here at Beaver Falls High School. We spent every second together, almost inseparable. We shared the same friend group, hobbies, clothes, and even shared the same bed. We did the same sports growing up and even took most of the same classes. She would always be willing to take care of others, but she forgot how to take care of herself. That comes through the real-life tragedy that I'm about to tell. Show of hands, how many of you have a sibling in this room? Okay, keep that in mind while I finish my story. Imagine waking up one day. Everything appears normal. You go through your daily routine and head to school with your sibling. You continue on with your day like any other normal day. But in the blink of an eye, this day takes a turn for the worse. This normal day turns into a nightmare that you will have to accept for the rest of your life. You get called into this small empty room and see your family sitting there. Everyone is there besides one person, the sibling you wake up next to. The police tell you that she had killed herself. It's a hard pill to swallow, right? Taylor left the classroom with me sitting 2 seats away from her. Walked past her own mother, who happens to be a lunch lady here at Beaver Falls, so some of you may know her. Walks up the hill and jumps in front of a moving train. Imagine getting that news. No one deserves to ever hear that kind of news. Did we have a rough upbringing? Yes. Did we have struggles and life challenges that any normal 16-year-old have and would face, like bad grades, terrible friends, or heartbreak? Yes. But everyone has bad days. People have days, months, or even years where they don't feel good enough, or something doesn't go their way, or whatever reason it may be. But to end a precious life before it even got to begin, that isn't fair. For me, I felt dead inside getting that news. I felt guilt, anger, sadness, and then nothing at all. I was so numb to where I didn't even know what happened the entire year after that. Sometimes I still live in a blur. My brain shut off. I don't remember her viewing, much of her funeral, or even the months to follow. After Taylor's death, the pain I felt pushed me to have suicidal ideation, which are thoughts, and had even attempted it myself. So I know what it feels to be where she was, to feel empty, to feel nothing at all. I get it, trust me. I eventually found a counselor and have undergone and continue to have extensive therapy. I relied on family and friends when I felt like I was drowning. I reached out instead of staying silent. I got the help that I needed, which I wish Taylor would have done. It was not easy by any means. It was the hardest thing that I've done for myself, but it was so worth it. There are times where I still break down and cry or have an anxiety attack because I hear a simple train whistle. But getting that help was the best thing I've ever done. I'm here and I get to live. I am now a mother to the sweetest little 5-year-old boy. I'm in school to be an occupational therapy assistant. I just got my own apartment, have the most incredible boyfriend, and the most amazing support system that consists of my family and friends. If I would have taken the easy route, then I would have never gotten the chance to experience any of that. Suicide is not an option. But unfortunately, my sweet Taylor will never be able to experience life's treasures. She will never get the chance to meet my son, or any of my children, or my future husband. She won't be able to experience having kids, or getting married herself. She can't travel the world like she once wanted to, and will never be able to get the chance to move down to Florida. She didn't even get the chance to create herself or show the world what she was capable of. For me, there will be a spot empty on my wedding day, like there was on my prom pictures, graduation. I have to bring my son to a headstone, or show pictures of her to people I meet. I can't hug her or cry with her. I can't laugh or fight with her. I can't come home or call her and tell her something good that had happened, or go to her when I need advice. Each and every one of her loved ones lost all of that when she committed suicide. She can't do any of that anymore. But one thing she can do is save another life. Mental illnesses may take over your life for a short time, but do not let it take your life forever. Trust me, I'm living proof. But I'm also living proof that you can beat your mental illness and turn your life around.
For me, that morning was like any other. I got my oldest daughter up and ready for school, made breakfast for my youngest, and sat on the porch waiting for her bus with a cup of coffee. My biggest concern that day was hooking up a new computer that I had just purchased. In the middle of that task, I got a phone call that would end up changing my life. It was my mother asking me if Taylor was with me. Confused, I replied no, but that wasn't abnormal. Taylor would often come to me with problems and concerns. She referred to me as her go-to person when life got too much to bear. What confused me was that it was noon on a Friday in January. Why wasn't she in school? Apparently, Taylor decided to leave school that day without saying anything to anybody. She was missing for hours, while my family and I combed the streets of Beaver Falls trying to find her, frantically calling her phone with no answer. Then it happened. Our life was changed forever. That is when my biggest concern of the day, installing that stupid computer, turned into having to tell my children, who were 11 and 6 at the time, that one of their favorite people in this entire world was dead. It was a nightmare having to rip away their innocence. For days, I was on autopilot, just going through the motions. Numb. I had to pick out her casket and decide what she would wear in that casket. And eventually we decided on her cheerleading uniform because she loved cheerleading so much. I had to write eulogies and thank you cards out for the pouring of support we had received, all while trying to comfort my parents, my sister, my children, and my cousins, when I had no idea how to do that because I felt no comfort for myself. I was in a state of shock. Things that were second nature I had to remind myself to do. Things like getting out of bed, brushing my teeth, eating, smiling, talking, breathing. I literally had to remind myself to breathe. I had to remind myself how to live. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months, and the world around me continued to spin, while mine was at a complete standstill. I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs, "My sister is dead. I can't do this, so can everybody please stop living because I don't know how to do that anymore." But that's not how it works. Much like depression, you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and face each day, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, month by month, and now year by year, reminding myself to live, to hold on, because I know that one day I won't have to remind myself. The day of her death replayed over in my mind like a movie on repeat. I couldn't shut it off. I was changed. Had Taylor known her death would have affected us, she would have fought harder. But now I lived in a world without her. The sun wasn't as bright, and the night was much darker. The silence that I once welcomed had now become deafening. I had to find my new normal. I had to find a way to embrace her life and not her death. I turned to God and I asked him to help me to forgive her, to help me fight through the overwhelming guilt and sadness that now consumed my heart. I had to focus on the amazing 16 years that I was blessed with her presence and love, and push the void she left to the back. Like Taylor, Logan, and probably a lot of people in here today, I have been in a place so low that I wanted the pain to end. I didn't think about the impact that it would have on others, the impact that it would have on my family. I was consumed with sadness for reasons too extensive to go through here, but when I was 12, I tried to commit suicide. So not only am I a victim, I am a suicide survivor, and I thank God every day for that. I am so happy that I pushed through, and I continue to push through. The truth is, I still suffer from panic attacks and depression. My struggle has been lifelong. It started long before Taylor's death. And because of Taylor's death, I now get to add PTSD to my list of diagnoses. I go to counseling and I'm on medication. I rely on my family and friends, and sometimes strangers, to keep me afloat. It is hard. Sometimes days are harder than others, but I never gave up, and I refuse still to give up. I've been able to live a life so full of amazing people and experiences. I've been able to love and be loved, to make mistakes and learn from them, to know heartbreak and to grow from it. I've been able to fail and succeed, because that's life. It's about checks and balances and ups and downs. No one has ever said to you that life is going to be easy, but I can promise you that it is worth it. Today, I'm proud to say that I'm a registered nurse who's gone back to school to be a nurse practitioner, a mom to 2 beautiful daughters. I'm the wife of a loving and supportive husband, an aunt to a gorgeous little boy, and today, because I refuse to give up, am living my very best life. Through our perseverance and with the help of others, we have learned to embrace the challenges that life throws at us, to love a little bit deeper, to hold on a little bit longer, and to forgive. While Taylor's death robbed us of so very much, it also taught us extremely valuable lessons. Lessons to speak up when we are feeling low, to lend a helping hand, to share a simple smile or kind words to others because you never know when they are feeling down, to appreciate and cherish one another, to be gentle with people, to slow down and take a deep breath when needed. It has also given us the need to tell her story and ours.
family members and friends were anticipating. I do remember there being a line outside of her funeral that stretched on for a mile. Random people showed up who had no idea who Taylor even was. Came to her funeral crying. Hundreds of people showed up for support and goodbyes. Now, I didn't want to talk about that due to the amount of attention that it caused, because I know that this generation is all about craving attention. She didn't even get to experience that attention though, because she's gone. Her story isn't about attention at all. This is about mental illness. It is about a gorgeous young girl who got ripped away from life and from her loved ones because of one major decision that she chose to do in this one split second. Her depression consumed her, and her pain was too much for her to handle. She didn't speak out. She didn't hold on long enough for things to get better. She took the easy way out. She got to erase her pain and suffering, but what about us? What about everyone she left behind to deal with the aftermath? The aftermath isn't pretty for everyone else. But Taylor was so much more than the girl who committed suicide, which is what she is remembered for now. About a month after her death, I was on the computer doing homework when I stumbled across an unfinished document, one that Taylor had started a year before. She stated that we, her family and friends, would be better off without her. That we would be sad, but we would get over it in about a year or so. She left that. She felt that she didn't belong in this world and things couldn't get better. She didn't want to be a burden to her friends and family. She could not have been more wrong. Taylor had a heart so big and full of love. She commanded attention wherever she went with her contagious laugh and crooked little grin. She was captain of her cheerleading squad, a talented first baseman on her high school softball team, an A&B student, extremely popular and breathtakingly beautiful. From the outside looking in, she was seemingly perfect. Unfortunately, inside was a completely different picture.
If you don't experience a loss like suicide, it's hard to imagine. You can't really. It's something entirely different than any other loss. It leaves its victims overcome with guilt, with questions that can never be answered, and with anger that is hard to tame, and with faith that is wavering. I know that Taylor wouldn't want us to live the rest of our lives like that. If she had known, I believe her way of dealing with her depression would have been much different. If she would have had the strength to hold on to that hope, things would have been better. But she left behind an ugly truth. She left behind a mother who turned to alcohol to numb the pain. She left behind a father who lives in constant fear. She left behind a twin who made reckless decisions to help ease her pain. She left behind me, who isolated herself from everybody that she loved just to protect her heart from further pain. She left behind two nieces who had to grow up way before their time and deal with a death that they should never know. She left behind a boyfriend who turned to drugs and eventually died, and he left behind a daughter who will never know her father. She left behind multiple friends and family whose lives will never be the same, who have their own stories to tell of how her death affected them. Her death has put burden on marriages, has ended friendships, has separated families. It's caused financial hardship. Her death has infected an entire community. My point is, it's never just about the ones who die. It has a trickle-down effect. Suicide is like a hurricane that changes everything in its wake. Now, we've all done the best we can to repair our damage, to rebuild from the aftermath. But the cracks left behind in our hearts and souls will always bear the scars that her death has left behind. It's been almost 7 years, and we are still trying to repair our foundations. We have gone through literal hell, dealing with the worst thing imaginable, and we have all made incredible progress digging ourselves out of our own graves. And we continue to remind ourselves and each other, if we can survive this, we can survive anything. It is our goal, now with our foundation a little bit stronger, to tell our story and hopefully save lives, even if it's just one. Because every life matters. Everybody in this room matters. We can now try to bring positivity out of our darkness. And the only way we can do that now is to create awareness, to open the lines of communication about mental illness and suicide. It should be talked about as openly as bullying or teen pregnancy or drugs and alcohol abuse. The stigma needs to be erased. Mental illness, whether it's temporary or lifelong, is nothing to be ashamed of. It's a disease, much like diabetes or cancer. There is no cure, but there is treatment to help improve the quality of life. Take advantage of it. Utilize resources that are available to you. Unfortunately, Taylor made a mistake that she can never learn from. A mistake that, as we hope you can see, had a profound impact on not only our lives, but so many. If you can learn one thing from today, never be afraid to fight for life. Never be afraid to talk. Talk about your own mental health issues or your loved ones. If someone confides in you or you have your own thoughts, tell somebody. Speak up and be willing to put the work in to get the help you need. Life is worth the battle. Please help us in spreading Taylor's story so that you too can save lives. In closing, we would like to thank each and every person for being here and for listening, and to remind you to speak up and speak out, because we are all worth it.